I'm in the engine room of a 49-foot trawler doing a pre-purchase inspection. Mind you, it's not a survey. Just looking around for the client who's unable to attend this visit. You can see 2 air conditioning compressors, 1 very large air conditioning compressor, and you can hear them humming and buzzing right now. Sooner or later in this video, we will find the water cooling pump. See, all of these water hoses are going up and into the compressor, going in, around and around and around and out to cool the compressor. Same on that, same on that. So we will follow this header here and follow the water line there. So I see 2 pumps, 1 pump here and another pump there. So those are below the water line centrifugal water pumps to cool the air conditioning compressors. Panning to the right, this big guy right here is a vacuum generator that generates the vacuum for the vacuum flush toilet system aboard the boat. There's a Y valve, so you can divert the sewage to the holding tank, or if you're more than 3 miles out in the Atlantic, directly overboard. This other pump is a directly overboard pump to evacuate or drain the holding tank, again, if you're more than 3 miles out in the ocean. Above all of that, we look at this big metal, galvanized sheet metal. That is your water heater. Somebody's a joke and they wrote hot water heater, but you know the joke, if it's hot, you don't need to heat it. But you've got the water in and the water out. The blue hose, of course, is cold water, and the red pipe is hot water. So if I've got water in and water out, what are these 2 things? These are actually antifreeze pipes or hoses, heater hoses, coming from that engine. So when you run this engine, and the engine gets up to operating temperature about 180 degrees Fahrenheit, that antifreeze will circle through the hoses. There, you see them in the bilge. It will circulate through those hoses in and out of this water heater. That way your drinking water, your sink water, your shower water will be extremely hot, and it's free hot water. You do not need to run the generator to heat this water. The engine heats it. So that's a bonus. Looking down at this big square tube, this big riser, this is a sea chest. That's the ocean. Can't see it because there's a dark shadow under the boat. But if you want, you could open up this port and stick your hand in there. And most of your sea cocks here, there, here, here, and one more over there, all of these sea cocks supply raw water to the different parts of the boat. Here we've got port engine, starboard engine. That might be the generator. The other one might be the water pump for the air conditioner. And excuse me, both of these are water pumps for the air conditioner. And then this last one is for the generator, which I have not shown you yet, but it's back there with the forward sound shield hatch has been removed. That's the generator. Also requires seawater. So now we've got our John Deere 4-cylinder turbocharged 150 horsepower dual Raycor model 500 filters. Same on the opposite engine to the port. And looking back on these engines, there's the transmission. And look at this weird thing sticking off the back of the transmission. Let's turn around and look on the port engine. There's nothing there. So this is called a blind flange. That's been blinded off. There's nothing in there. But on this one, we have this big apparatus, which is a PTO, power takeoff hydraulic pump. You've got the large hose, which returns fluid and the small hose, which is the pressure fluid, sends hydraulic pressure into this big reservoir and control chamber, and that actually provides the hydraulic fluid to operate the active fin stabilizers right here. So you've got a big fin underwater, and it turns back and forth, and through the marvels of computer technology, it will learn the wave height, the wave roll factor, the wave separation from peak to peak, say 6 seconds, 7, 8 seconds, and it will proactively attempt to prevent the extreme roll on the boat. You'll have a little flotation difference, but you will not have a roll. So that is an active fin stabilizer head. Looking back to port, there's the port head for the fin on the port side. Looking up, you can see a manway. Actually, no man can get in there, but you can stick your hand in there to inspect that. And that is a sight glass with clear liquid, which we're going to assume is water. There's another manway or inspection port coming back to this, and you can see it's got a red fluid. Got my strap hung up. See, it's got a red fluid, and there's your level. Can you see the level? So that is your diesel fuel tank. So on this boat, the forward tanks are potable drinking water, and the aft tanks are fuel. Continuing aft, there's our distribution tree or manifold system. It says 2 tanks, I think in the term of return fuel. From tanks, I think in terms of supply fuel. And you've got all these different valves where you can mix and match to the port starboard engine or the generator. These big white tubes are part of the water maker system, which is actually a reverse osmosis water maker. And then that tank is an anti-vibration or anti-pulsating tank. We call them bladder tanks. If you live anywhere and you've got well water at your house, you've got a giant bladder tank in your pump house. So that's what that is, to keep the thumping out of the shower. Looking at the generator, 7.5 kilowatts. There's your local control panel. There's a remote control panel on the dashboard upstairs. Oil filter. It's a 3-cylinder, 1, 2, 3, 3-cylinder injector pump. Fan belt. That is the heat exchanger. And it looks pretty clean. Pretty clean. Imagining this is a 15-year-old boat, I could make it cleaner. And you can see that there has been some kind of debris in here, and it's more so evaporated out rather than being cleaned out. But that's a little problem, not a big deal. It has its own Raycor Model 500 here. Going back to the John Deeres, those are ZF or ZF transmissions. This piece here is a transmission cooler. If you've ever bought a big Suburban or a pickup truck to pull a trailer, they ask you to buy the transmission cooler or the trailer package. That's what that is, a transmission cooler. Here we've got the turbo. This is the exhaust turbo. Water cooled. Notice the paint is not burned. Inside of this chamber it gets over to 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, but this is oil cooled. See the pipe? The hot gases come out and it's water injected, and then it goes in here, and it does not melt this hose before going into the muffler. Water lift muffler lifts it up and goes out the back of the boat. So as this turbo rotates, it has a common shaft like my flashlight, and rotates this air intake turbo, sucks the air in, the air filter goes in here and blows the air up through this pipe and down into the air intake chamber on the engine. So this is a turbo cooled or turbocharged 4-cylinder John Deere given 150 horsepower. You can see the alternator there. Coming back to port engine, a better view of the alternator. The raw water pump. You can see it's kind of bronzy color, so it's been changed. It's not original. And you can see a little bit of rust right here where the pump had failed, or a previous pump had failed and leaked salt water onto that engine mount. So this is just a real quick tour of what to expect when you're going in the engine room aboard a cruising boat. A cruising boat that's designed for you to live aboard it for a week, a month, or even longer. So you've got a lot of creature comforts, a lot of systems that you need to learn more about. So now we get to the big deal. If you want to learn more about systems aboard your boat, you can join us in Vero Beach, Florida for an Introduction to Boat Systems class. It's 2 days, Fridays and Saturdays, Vero Beach, Florida, halfway between Orlando and Palm Beach, Florida. So if you want to learn more about that boat that you're buying, better yet, learn more about the boat before you buy it so you can decide if you can change the oil, if you can change the fuel filters, if you can service the engines, or if the engine room's just so tight that you can't do it yourself, you've got to hire somebody. All those are valuable lessons to learn before you buy the boat. So look us up. Join us in Florida for Introduction to Boat Systems. Ask Captain Chris.